ready.
I'm close to ready.
And we're in.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for finding the Geek Spot. Happy Monday. Happy day after Easter, day before Earth Day.
Day after WrestleMania.
Day after WrestleMania. So Charles,
Yeah.
been a minute.
Hey,
that
Charles.
most special of days there. So lots to talk about. Lots of things happening on finales and second episodes and celebrations. All of the exciting things going on in the world of geek. So we are excited to bring that conversation to you. Make sure if you're listening to the podcast, you like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, do the same. Tell a friend. All those good things. And hey, Frank.
Hey. Hi, Dom. Listen, I'm glad that Charles came in. Or I'm glad when anybody comes in first. I'm very glad it was Charles because it gets rid of the sample comment. Because the sample comment I can't ever get rid of it. And it bugs me. Because I think somebody's already there, but nobody's there.
I'll work on it. I'll see what I can do to the sample.
You can't. I tried. So
what have you been up to, man? It sounds like you watched some wrestling.
Man, it's been a long weekend. There's a lot of wrestling. And we're not done. We have the Raw after WrestleMania tonight, which is usually good, except in Philadelphia last year it was a dud. We'll talk about that Wednesday night on the Island of Relevancy with Frank and T. We'll discuss all things WrestleMania. All I will say is that WrestleMania in Philadelphia far superior than WrestleMania in Las Vegas, and that's not just where I'm at biased.
I tuned in for about 30 seconds at the end of the Cody Rhodes John Cena match. It was about all I made it to.
I cannot wait to talk about the psychology of that and what happened, because there's so much going on there that just like people don't realize. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I saw Travis Scott. I didn't even know he had anything to do with wrestling.
It was so awful. It was so bad.
You sound like
me now. I can't wait to talk about it. We went to Maddie's on Saturday. Matt smoked some ribs, had some burgers, had some man meat sausages there. Lots of meat on the table.
You guys ate too?
Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, we did that too. Jay bought kendo sticks, and we were playing around with kendo sticks in the house, and that was fun. And then Sunday we went to Ray's and Angie's, and she did it more of Easter, more like finger food, some ham and cheese sliders cooked on potato rolls, and
nice.
A pizza bread that she makes that's pretty good, and a lot of chips and some cupcakes, all on an Easter table. It was an earlier night there. I was so tired by then. It was just so much wrestling.
That sounds like a lot of wrestling. I remember back in the day when they were like 2.5 hours long and that you were out.
These are the big PLEs. So it's, now Monday night show will be about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And then Friday night show is always 3 hours, which is an hour too long. And then they had something last night that unfortunately we don't get to see. It was the Roast of WrestleMania hosted by Tony Hinchcliffe.
Oh.
It was not streamed or put on TV at all.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah, I've heard some stuff. There's some funny stuff. There's some cringy stuff, but yeah, it was a lot of wrestling, and then there was a finale that I got to watch. 2 finales this week that I got to watch.
2 finales.
Well, we watched one last week after our show. We didn't talk about Wheel of Time, did we?
No.
So with the Wheel of Time finale,
yeah,
and The Last of Us, I waited till this morning and watched it.
It wasn't a finale.
No, not finale. I apologize. That was in episode 2. See, so much wrestling. I watched that this morning. I took off today, and at 10 o'clock this morning, I decided it was a good idea to watch that episode. It was not a good idea to watch while you're eating breakfast.
No, there's a lot going on there.
Yes, and we'll
get to that.
Yes, we will get to that. Boy, will we.
For sure.
What about you?
It hasn't been that long, but just had a gig Friday, which was great with Fab Fly playing all the party dance music. Had a good turnout at Gleason's. That was fun.
Nice.
Went to the Union game Saturday night. Did the Philadelphia Union, the MLS team. I got
Yep.
tickets for. We upgraded to the Prime Point Club, so had some short rib,
Is that different than like?
their grits.
Is that like a Hall of Fame level at the Phillies?
Yeah, it's like you're
Okay.
right underneath the huge board on the one side, and you can see the whole field from where you're at.
Nice. Nice.
We did that to give the boy some extra room because until this morning he was still in like the full leg immobilizer with the crutches. So now he is out of that.
I saw the picture. That's awesome. How's he walking?
He's getting around so far. We'll see what
All right.
happens. But so got made sure he was comfortable for the last day. So we did that, and yesterday we did the Easter stuff. Watched some things. I didn't watch any Office, so but then I snuck in a few episodes for you today because
Sorry.
I felt like you would have been sad.
I yes and no. Hey to Savius and Aces. Dom's sending in a nice little raid for us. So hi to everybody coming in. I wouldn't have been upset because I know the first. I want to say, and I know you're going to have a different view. At least the first 10 episodes of this season are really rough for the most part.
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, it is. Well, we don't have a list today. I didn't do a list. Well, I figured with all the Star Wars stuff and all the regular news and
Yeah, we have a list of the celebration announcements this week.
I think I have a bunch of them.
There you go.
But there was some other stuff that happened.
There was.
But before we get to that, we have to hear about The Office.
Oh, we're going straight into The Office.
We're going in lieu of a list. While the Phillies are about to take on the Mets, and Aaron Nola is going to blow the game for us.
Look, it's a list of people that'll blow
Honestly,
the game for the Phillies at this point. It's fine. Derek Jeter joined. He's rooting for the Mets.
It's possible that the Phillies win big tonight because Nick Castellanos always hits a home run when something in the world happens, some major event, and with Pope Francis passing away today. I think Nick's good for at least 3 home runs.
All right.
That's a big news thing. So
that is. We'll see how Nicky does. All right. So we got The Office. We are on episodes. I think I'm on 6 and 7 of season 7. For those of you just hopping in from Ace's Raid, so we've been doing this watch along where I have never seen The Office.
Wait. You didn't talk about the Sting. You only did the first
So then I was
3
was
last
it only
week.
3? I don't know.
It
felt like 1,000.
Andy's play was the last one.
Yeah. So, no, I did this. No, I did not do this thing yet.
No.
But anyway, so I'm
Six
stuck
Ed.
watching The Office because Frank's going to eventually start Doctor Who sometime this year.
This week, I told you this week. I'm through the wrestling weekend. This week is Doctor Who.
Fantastic.
I'm not placing that bet, Dom.
So 4 and 5 is where I was at.
Yeah.
So all right, so
Yeah.
we got Sex Ed, which starts off with Dwight hiring random people that he usually takes to the farm and then calls ICE and gets rid of them, which sounds right
That's great.
for Dwight.
That's a great cold open.
Yeah. It's good. Then we got Michael with doing a fake mustache to cover what he thinks is a pimple, but it's a cold store. And then there's a whole thing about him having herpes. And the whole episode is him retracing all of his escapades from Donna to Holly to Jan, which was really weird.
Yeah.
Andy trying to make people not think bad about Meredith because clearly she has every STD known to man.
She does.
Is where we're at in there. So he orders some pizza, shows a bunch of pictures of normal genitals during their meal and not normal genitals during their meal. And I was like, okay, this is I guess there's funny stuff in here. Not that I saw, but I'm assuming other people saw funny stuff somewhere in this episode.
I know where I saw the funny stuff.
I'm hoping it was after where I was just at.
It starts with Andy.
Yeah. So you got the Michael, like I said, goes to Jan's job to see her instead of just calling Jan. And you see Jan has become obsessed with Doris Day and singing all the time, and her daughter comes to her job when she's done like really just weird. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
And then he goes and finds Pam's mom. So he was kind of going in order. Then he changed his mind about going in order. Um, that was another weird conversation. Then Carol, the real estate agent, you get all this like deep thought and like concept into like Michael's past and how he's fantasized his relationships and blown things out of proportion. But it's a sitcom, so we ignore all that by the end of the episode. And then he calls Holly back. I'm guessing we're going to see Holly again at some point where I'm at now, just because she got brought up by Kathy Bates in the season finale at the end of season 6. She was going to try and get her there. There was this convo, which is fine. I don't know where that's going to end up. And then he goes and sees Carol, the real estate agent, who he proposed to after 4 dates.
Yeah.
Real life wife, right?
Yes, real life wife.
Look, they could have brought her back in more. And then Gabe confronts Andy about complaining about him dating Aaron, and was like, "You said it was okay." And then it was weird that like Dwight went to all of these things with Michael.
Well,
But
Dwight
that's
goes everywhere with
normal
Michael.
for the show, right? Because
Right.
when it's convenient, because otherwise they hate each other.
Yeah.
And then at the end, because he made out with Oscar the one episode, he brings Oscar in and they make all sorts of wildly inappropriate comments about Oscar and his.
Yep.
Again, things that were funny 17 years ago or whenever this episode aired, but now it's just like, no.
Yep.
So that was that. So
2010.
what was your funny part that you thought of that episode that I must have missed?
The part of this episode that I liked was Andy hosting the sex ed course.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
that was the
When he
part
makes
that
the
was
list of the
funny.
pros and cons.
Right. And then he wanted to, then he got more awkward as he went on, and he wanted to demonstrate putting a condom on a pencil. And then they were making fun of him. Why did you choose a pencil of all things you could have chosen? And that part was funny in the episode. Like there's a lot of these episodes, and as huge a fan of The Office as I am, there's a lot of this season that doesn't hit.
Yeah.
And I know
the
you've
writing is way off.
I know you've been saying that for 6 seasons now.
No, this one's really bad though.
This was bad. But this was not as bad, I think, as the next episode.
The Sting, yeah.
It was just as bad.
With the awful cold open of Oscar riding his bike. He's super proud of his bike, and then Michael tries to ride it. And we leave out the humor part that Michael is wrecking this bike that he's so proud of. Like they forget to like make that joke. They think the joke is that Michael doesn't know how to ride a bike at like 46 years old, which whatever.
Right.
Look, I remember trying to ride a bike in Key West when I was down there for the week. It didn't go well for me
Of course not.
because it'd been forever since I rode
Right.
a bike, and I may or may not have had an adult beverage before I tried.
That doesn't help.
No. So yeah, so you get that, and then we introduce Mr. Tim Oliphant as Danny
Cordray.
Cordray, yeah.
Danny
Oh, there it is,
Cordray.
Cordray, yeah. Yeah, and they're talking about Steve Nash, and clearly dates the episode because they're talking about the guy from the Phoenix Suns that I was like, I barely remember Steve Nash from the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, that was a very
I was like, is that like the wrestler Nash? Is that where they're going with? Is like that? Are they talking Hall and Nash? I thought that was the direction they were going to take because I didn't remember what Nash's first name was back then.
Yep.
Or was that his last name? I don't remember.
Yeah.
But that's the way I thought they were going, but not. And we get Andy set up as being jealous of Broccoli Rob. Because what I feel like they're doing this season is they are shoving Andy down everybody's throat, because I'm guessing The Hangover 2 is out about now.
2010-ish, maybe?
So this would be 2012 is when this episode would have come out.
Nope, 2010 is when it came out.
No, is this episode was 2010?
Yeah.
Wow.
The Hangover was in 2009, part 2 was 11, part 3 was
So this is
13.
after The Hangover hit. So this is why Andy's being shoved down everybody's throat now.
Yeah, this episode aired October 21st, 2010. This whole season is straddled between 2010 and 11.
Which is weird because it's only been 5 years since the show premiered.
Right.
So that's really fast to get through 7 seasons of 23 episodes.
Well, they weren't all. I mean, season 1 was like a handful of episodes, and
No, I
then 2
know.
wasn't a lot, and then they ramped up, but they churned them out fast, sometimes too fast.
Yeah.
Hey,
Seems that
T.
way. Hey, T, you joined just for the tail end of the fun office talk that everybody loves. Except for me.
Right.
No, it was Thursdays, depending on look, and I think next week I'm sure my kids have something next Monday too, so we'll see what happens then. But um, yeah, so we get that, and he beats him out of a sale. Apparently, he's been beating him out forever from Osprey paper.
Yeah.
But we get Andy's jealous of Broccoli Rob getting a mention in the newsletter because he has a big song that hit about milk.
With Trey Anastasia from Fish.
Yeah, doesn't date the episode at all. I'm sure everybody knows who Trey Anastasio still is. Yeah, and then Jim's already jealous of Danny up front because he dated Pam for a few days, and that's a recurring thing in the episode. So I'm guessing that was the year that Jim went off and like Jim's mad because Jim went off and was with Rashida Jones. Rashida Jones.
Karen.
Yeah, sure, whatever. The hot one, the one that's way better and more successful in everything than Pam that he should have stayed with. Yeah. Right. So he's jealous that Pam dated somebody during that time too, though. Bad Pam. How dare you? Even though it's fine for him. Whatever. So then they have to call Michael in because even though Michael didn't hack it as a sales guy last time around, they made him a sales guy for a minute. He's the best salesperson ever, so they bring him in to help close the paper guys.
Yep.
Which cuts into his quarter life crisis, which would have actually tied back to the last episode, but we decided to ignore that for the rest of this one. Tim Oliphant, amazing sales guy because he's Tim Oliphant, so of course he is. Make a lot about his looks, which I don't know that I've ever seen something where people are like, Tim Oliphant's a model. I don't know that that's ever been his claim to fame. Compared to everybody else on this show, he is a runway model for sure because there's not a lot of attractiveness in this show. So we get that. They set up a sting with Meredith as the head of the company because that was her lunch break, and they thought a super attractive guy, who better to have him pitched to than Meredith, because nothing could go wrong with that.
Yeah.
So everything goes wrong with that.
Yes. Eduardo.
Yeah, Meredith decides to seduce him. They send in Oscar to try and save her. She says that's Emmanuel, her cleaner, who doesn't speak English.
Right.
So they send in Ryan instead, who she says is Eduardo. Emmanuel, yeah, and doesn't speak English. And they both go along with that.
Right. With what? Rather than turning around and leaving, they that part was incredulous to me that it worked in the secret room that Dwight had to monitor the rest of the building, mind you.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And the spare office that's in the building because nobody else has offices in their building, in their big office building, other than their one.
Well, Vance Refrigeration.
Sure. Still, I guess. Meanwhile, Andy, Daryl, and Kevin start a band. Andy has to pay Daryl, and then everybody judges to Andy's song because it's from the perspective of a little girl that he's singing falsetto.
It was an anti-war song from the perspective of a little girl.
Yeah.
It wasn't just. It was
weird.
Awful.
Yeah. And then so once she makes them clean and is getting ready to jump on top of what's his name, Danny, Michael bursts into the room to recruit him and somehow manages to recruit him.
Yeah.
Because we're back to Michael being the best salesman ever.
Yeah.
And then he gets hired as the new road salesman.
Yes.
Which then Michael remembers that Packer is that, and I totally didn't realize that Packer worked for Michael. That makes no sense to me.
He works for Dunder Mifflin.
There is no Dunder Mifflin, though.
Yeah.
It is that office.
What's Dunder Mifflin's Saber?
Right, but so he just works for Michael?
He's under Michael.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
None of that. Whatever. And then Dwight freaks out on Danny about him and Pam and makes fun of Pam a whole bunch, which was just really weird and awkward. Again, really poor writing this episode. Maybe the Danny, Daryl, and Kevin stuff was funny. They did a bullfrog song at the end.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have Bullfrog and Love on your shuffle, right?
Yeah, 100 times
on your iPod shuffle.
It's on every third song. Actually, is how I like it.
On your iPod shuffle.
Yeah. I liked it on my Nano better, but I put it back in the shuffle. So that was that for the episode. So I'm sure there'll be some kind of ramification about that. I can't imagine Oliphant will be around long. I hope he gets to actually be funny because him on Santa Clarita Diet is like one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
But that's all I got through. I didn't have time to dig in any farther into the
And
office.
you're good. That I think that's more than enough for this week. Look, again, huge fan of The Office. I love watching the reruns while I'm playing video games. I'll just put it on a monitor and just let it play because it's mindless. You know, it's just noise over the video game, like, you know, an announcer in a video game that's boring. A lot of the episodes coming up are really bad, like really rough, really, really, really rough to get through.
Can't wait.
Once they get to, I want to say, episode 11-ish, it kind of has a little bit, it starts to go in the right direction a little bit.
Great. So after the Christmas break.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine is phenomenal. Absolutely love that show. That's light years ahead of The Office now.
Yes. Yes. So we'll see what happens with The Office going into next week.
Yes, we will.
And how much of that I can try and get through so I can go start watching some good shows.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a big thing in Japan.
There was, but before there was a thing in Japan, there were some announcements in the United States.
Were there?
That I'm super excited to talk about.
Oh.
How about
Is it another simple favor?
Young Guns 3, Dead or Alive?
Oh, is this like more?
That's the title of the movie.
Okay. Wait, so they're going to bring John Bon Jovi's character back. So they can use Wanted Dead or Alive as the theme song.
Maybe.
You can't sing it anymore.
Young Guns 3, so begins the question, is he dead? Is he alive? It also tucks into John's story, Wanted Dead or Alive. So that's a little Easter egg. So there's a plot, and I'm not going to read the plot because it's ridiculous. But
set in modern day with the super old Billy the Kid.
Lou Diamond Phillips is coming back. Christian Slater is coming back because technically we didn't see either of them die on camera.
Okay.
We technically never saw Billy the Kid die on camera.
Well, isn't he the old guy?
He was Brushy Bill. Yes. Estevez's comments said, "This is great for you and me here. And if you want to continue the narrative of the Brushy Bill story, there's potential for 3, 4, 5. Whether I'm in the next installment is, but I already have an idea for what that is, for what 4 is."
Great.
Right. Do you want me to tell you about the plot?
I really don't want anything more than for you to tell me about the plot right now.
Okay.
Of this delightful movie.
This is the best. You have, all right. Most of the film takes place in Mexico and it falls on the eve of the Mexican Revolution. So you have a young Pancho Villa who is 28 at the time. You have his group of soldados, true believers and revolutionaries who are all kids. You had a human trafficking ring going on the border. He was taking kids from the pueblos and consigning them to his army. I'm just going to stop there.
Is he going to build a wall? I bet
don't
there's going to be a wall.
Billy the Kid meets, I'm just going to skip, down because there's a lot. Billy the Kid meets Pancho Villa and he is asked to come along and train his young men. So that's basically the story. I become the Tunstall character in many ways and bring this group of mostly Latino young men through their paces, and then all hell breaks loose. The setup is great. The setup is a lot of fun. It's a big Latino cast, a big indigenous people cast, without feeling like it feels natural.
It's the Young Ducks.
It is.
Can't wait.
And Francisco Lindor makes it 1-0.
Great.
Yeah, it's going to be awful.
Young Ducks 3. I can't wait.
What else is going to be awful? Aaron Nola on the mound against the Mets and Old Guns 1. Thank you, T, for that. Old Guns 1, it is.
Yeah, nothing about that sounds good.
No, nothing does sound good.
I can't see a single studio being like, yeah, let's do that.
Somebody had to have done it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Actually, I'm not watching that I'm not going to have that on next to me because it's just no thank you. Box office weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Huge box office for Sinners.
Yeah, I got to go check that out.
I've seen nothing but rave reviews in the Discord I'm in with T and with Dom. They're raving about this movie. Ryan Coogler has a massive hit on his hands. It came in Um, number one on the 3-day box on the 3-day total with 45.6 millions. Minecraft movie came in second. The King of Kings came in third. There's a severe drop off from 2 to 3. Minecraft brought in 41 million this week in its third week. The King of Kings brought in 17.2. Then the Amateur at 7.2, and then Warfare at 4.8. So there's lots of drop offs.
Yeah, so weird week though, right? With it being spring break for kids. There was nothing in the movies for them. Like there was
No.
Minecraft, which if people already saw it in the last 3 weeks,
Right.
you're not taking them again. And then there's King of Kings. That's it for kids stuff right like now.
Yeah.
There's really a struggle in putting good kids movies out consistently. Because even the Looney Tunes one they put out for like a minute
Yeah.
didn't last. It was out. I think it's already went to streaming. So it's been really weird how that's I've noticed that evolved the last like couple years since COVID really.
Yeah.
Since streaming and it's easier to just pop your kid in front of Bluey for 20 hours a day. But just the lack of children's content in the theaters, I think is problematic. And making people go.
Especially for this weekend.
Well, and because honestly, like comic book movies used to kind of be kids fair. They're not, especially watching that last Thunderbolts trailer. That is not something I would take my like
No.
any kid under 10 to. That movie looks dark.
It does.
You know, in Fantastic Four, we'll see what happens.
But yes, Sinners by all, you know, it looks like it's not my type of movie. I'm not a horror fan. But this movie seems to be again killing it, and it's got a lot of positive push behind it.
Yeah,
and that's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm sure it's gonna be great.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's great.
The Highlander movie.
Yeah.
Yes. So, per a new report from Deadline, the upcoming Highlander movie is now set to change hands, with Amazon MGM Studios United Artists said to be in the final negotiations for full rights to the franchise. The movie is still proceeding as planned with the director Chad Stahelski and Henry Cavill. It's just changing studios, which is a weird thing to have happen while you're filming a movie for the entire franchise to change studios. I guess it's a good thing.
It's in pre-production though. It's not filming.
Right. It also has the potential with this new deal now to see the development of a new TV series.
That's fine. I mean, look, the last TV show was good from what I understand. I didn't watch it, but
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed a lot of it.
And that was during a different time when they would make all those shows. That was the Hercules, Xena,
Yes.
the Highlander, Blade was a TV show back then. Like there was a lot of just decent shows that would just go and be serialized and didn't cost a lot of money, and you just did your thing.
Adrian Paul was great. I really I won't rewatch it, but because there's a lot of like, you know, freak of the week kind of episodes.
Yeah,
like that.
Look, USA and then TNT and TBS were great at those.
Yeah, they were.
But now we need, a year in between 8-episode seasons because God forbid we stop making.
That's right, T.
Movies.
Back when Lorenzo Lamas was it.
Yeah, look, I miss that kind of TV. The without stakes that was like just fun to watch.
Yeah.
Now everything is so. I think that's why I like The Bondsman so much.
Okay.
It called back to that. There's like, hey, there's a thing every week. There's an overarching storyline.
Can you
30 minutes in and out?
Can you answer this question without spoiling it for me?
100%. So Charles, Frank is finally going to actually delve into watching something new
for you.
Since I've watched 1 billion episodes of The Office so far. So I'm not going to do spoilers for Doctor Who. I thought the two so far, the first episode was not one of their best. I enjoyed the second episode quite a bit. I thought Alan Cumming in the role he had was great. The fact that they touched on a lot of the undercurrents that people complained about from the Jodie Whittaker era, but they don't feel forced, and are just better written. With Russell T Davies doing the writing than they were at the time. I liked the social commentary that they did through some of the pieces, and I appreciated that it was just a horror-ish episode, which are the good ones where there wasn't a lot of scene changes and set changes and those things. It was kind of a bottle episode, right? It all takes place in one location for the most part, uh, and that they wove in some different tech than we've ever seen in Doctor Who. I really enjoyed too. I think getting Shooty time to shine, because a lot of the episodes with him last season and this season didn't really let him do his thing. They pulled too much to other people, into the companion. So I think that this might give us a glimmer that that's going to be more. We're going to get more in on him this season, which I hope they do, because I think he's really great at what he does.
Also, I would be remiss if I did not wish a happy Dingus Day to everyone.
Oh,
yes. Dingus Day is a day to celebrate the end of the often restrictive observance of Lent and the joy of Easter. Over the decades, Dingus Day has become a wonderful holiday to celebrate Polish American culture, heritage, and traditions. Boy, that combo is in a bad spot for me.
yeah.
So that's what today is.
Well, enjoy that.
Not
All
going.
who celebrate.
I'm not going to Dagwood's pub to celebrate Dingus Day at all. But we did have another kind of a celebration. Segue. It was smooth.
It's great.
Right? That was smooth. We did have another kind of a celebration that we're not getting another one until 2027.
Oh, really?
Wait, yeah.
All right, so 2 years. So it's every 2 years, right?
Right, but this is going to be so we had Star Wars Celebration 2025 in Japan, which is cool.
Yeah.
It did not make for fun watching live at all.
I'm sure I did not do any live watching of this one.
I tried Friday. That was it. And then we're not going to have one in 2026, but in 2027 they're going to move it to LA for the 50th anniversary. I would give my left arm to be out there and stand in crowds waving lightsabers around.
I'm sure it'll be cheap.
Yeah, right. No, T, I didn't rewatch Mythic Quest yet. They apparently already put out the addendum changed finale.
Yeah, we talked about the cancellation briefly though, but yeah, we still have to both dig in and
totally forgot about
the finale.
I will do that this week, and then I will jump both feet into Doctor Who. Where can I watch it again?
Disney Plus.
Excellent. Perfect.
Or Hulu.
We'll not watch it tonight.
Hulu, just Disney Plus.
I have to watch John Cena ruin wrestling tonight.
Yep.
That's his promise. So we had Star Wars Celebration 2025 in Japan, in a convention center that I'm not even going to attempt to name near Tokyo, because I do not want to do it to disservice. So there wasn't anything last year, and we got a lot of information. A lot of the information Jack was extremely thrilled about, especially the Ahsoka stuff that we'll get to. So we had Mandalorian and Grogu info. I was originally saying how out I was on this movie maybe a week ago before the celebration. I got a glimpse of the trailer that they showed at the celebration before it was taken down offline. I'm back in. I'm back in because it looks better than what they described was coming.
So I didn't read any of the descriptions. I did manage to catch that trailer before it got taken down.
Right.
It goes back to where I'm at with so many things. Like, it looks cool, but like, is the plot any good? Because like that's right. Like it's the same as like the Fantastic Four, right? Like we got and Superman, right? We're getting all these. Ooh, this looks cool.
Right.
Stories suck because if your story sucks, it doesn't matter how cool it looks.
So this Mandalorian Grogu is coming May 22nd, 2026. It will be the first Star Wars feature film since Last Skywalker. No.
Yes.
Last Jedi. Wait.
No.
Rise of Skywalker. So this since 2019, we haven't had an actual Star Wars movie in theaters.
Right. But we've had a million hours of television.
Jon Favreau is directing it. I have confidence in his direction. The
Yes.
third season of the show was a little weaker than the first season.
Yes. And he wrote and directed that whole season.
Right. First thing I want to say about watching this live was, what is Pedro doing? Pedro had shorts on that came down to his knees. Then there was about an inch of space, and he had boots on that didn't even meet the shorts. It was the weirdest look I've ever seen.
Look, the man is probably completely fried and has very little brain capacity left between.
I can imagine.
Having to be Reed Richards
Listen,
and Joel and
well,
the Mandalorian.
look at T is the only human who despises Grogu. That's probably fair.
Look, Grogu's kind of a dick.
So they introduced. Oh, good. I just got a ad came out. Oh no, a scan's in progress. Cool.
It's not.
I know. It's not real. It's not a real scan. We got to look at. There were some shots. You know, the trailer was cool. We got to look at Sigourney Weaver. She's going to be playing an X-wing pilot and like a commander, and that's awesome.
Yeah. What's his name's going to be back too? From Rebels.
Zeb.
Yep.
That looks good. That's cool. I'm all in because it's Star Wars, and I keep saying I have to give it a chance.
Yeah, like I said, the problem with Mandalorian season 3 was the story was all over the place, but the action was great. So like, I just want those two key components to a good movie to come together for this, the writing and the cinematography and action and everything.
And then we got, then we got another new movie that's coming out. It's about to go into pre-production. Sean Levy?
Sure.
Yeah. The guy that directed Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Or was it Deadpool 2? Yes, he did.
He did The Atom Project. He did Deadpool and Wolverine. Yes. He did something else, which is what he's actually known for.
So he's doing Star Wars Top Gun in space.
Or The Last Starfighter.
We're not sure, but it's called Star Wars Starfighter, and Ryan Gosling is officially confirmed for it now, not just rumored.
Night of the Museum. That's what Sean Levy's known for.
Oh. Well, yeah. So this definitely might be it's 5 years. It's set 5 years after the last, The Rise of Skywalker, and it's going to feature all new characters, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, look, let's do a cool Starfighter thing and not have to make it about Jedi. Fine. I'm good.
Cool.
Again, make it a good story and make it fun. Either make it like super cool world building or just make it a good time. But don't make it a crappy story.
No, that's
where I'm at.
Yeah, so Pete's out on Gosling. It's
not a surprise.
It's fine. It's not going to be attached to the Skywalker movies, which is good. It's going to be all new characters. It's going to be a whole new movie, as they say now. We'll see. We got an animated announcement that I'm very excited for. It's a little bit of a period in Star Wars that we never got a full look at. Maul Shadow Lord.
Yes, Sam Witwer returning.
Yes.
To voice Maul. Look, I'm in on that. That's a Filoni jam, right?
Yep. Well,
I'm
down. Yeah.
He's
behind it. I'm sorry.
I think the Maul stuff was always good.
Yeah.
I guess this is before.
So this is going to be. It's going to come out in 2026, and it's going to be after he gets cut in half. So it's like Clone Wars-ish.
It sounds like it's early Rebels.
Yeah, it's going to cover
Solo era.
It's going to cover.
It's the Maul from it's the Maul that we saw in Solo.
Right. It's going to cover that Crimson Tide or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Roll Tide.
Huh?
Roll Tide?
Not Roll Tide. Crimson Tide with Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington. It's going to cover the boat.
Got it. Crimson Tide.
Crimson Tide. Yes, Jack, we have Andor coming up this week, actually, right? Tomorrow. Tuesday.
9 episodes of Andor drop tomorrow night at 9:00.
Stop it.
All right, 3 some odd hours of Andor drop tomorrow night at 9 o'clock.
3+ hours. Yes. I'm excited for Andor. I'm very, very excited
The
for
early
Andor.
reviews are outstanding.
I'm excited. I'm also excited for the Darth Maul thing. I Sam Witwer's great, and I love Darth Maul and
Except for that,
getting
and the other animated that they gave a little teaser for and announced.
which one?
Tales of the Underworld.
Yes, that one's coming soon.
That's like this year, I think.
Yeah,
Because otherwise, there's no Star Wars content after Andor till next year. I think there's a
yeah.
Young Jedi's season 3 is coming soon, based on my daughter's ads on Disney Plus.
We got a bunch of Ahsoka news.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't seem as thrilled about that as I did.
No.
No, I'm just gonna go back and read what I sent you. Dave Filoni says the second half of Ahsoka season 2 is a really big battle. So from what I was reading now, it's going to be the last 4 episodes of Ahsoka season 2 is going to feature a battle between Admiral Akbar and the rebels and Grand Admiral Thrawn and his guys,
Okay.
the Empire. It's supposed to be there's supposed to be a lot more Ezra. You're going to get the whole Rebels crew back together, including Zeb in this show. They showed some pictures of I have to scroll back up because I forgot his name. Rory McCain as Balin Skull.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great look. He looks just like him. I think just with longer hair. They're going to answer the story of the Mortis. Filoni said, or Rosario said, one of them. But this is supposed, and Hayden Christensen's coming back, and this looks like it's going to be all for the fans. But I really hope the story through it, again, like you said earlier, I hope this is a good story.
Yeah, look, I don't need Hayden Christensen in it, but
I'm fine with him coming back and being in the war, because Filoni's still playing with that world between worlds thing. So
I know
you can kind of,
I know. Well, look, they killed off Ahsoka is still the revived Ahsoka from after she got killed off in Rebels by
correct
Darth Vader. Anyways, it's weird. It's
well,
fine.
The one thing I like about all this is that they reached out to Freddie Prinze Jr. to come back, and he doesn't even want to voice Kanan. He thinks Kanan's story closing the way it did was so impactful that anything more from that character lessens that sacrifice.
Yeah, he's good.
And I appreciate that. Well, I appreciate that because that was a huge moment in the show. Like nobody saw that coming.
No, 100% not. And it's look, I don't need Kanan. That's fine. It's Ezra's story now.
Yes.
And that's the problem with a lot of these huge franchises, right? They're like, oh, well, let's squeeze every ounce of story out of each one of these characters that we can to get more for our, like, just let somebody else take it.
Yeah. And that's what it needs to be done.
And is Ezra, the way they set him up in Ahsoka, the right one to do it? I don't know.
We'll see how they let
Ahsoka like act some. Would be great. Rosario Dawson is a phenomenal actress. They didn't let her do shit in the first season.
Yeah. Now I was watching some of the interviews with Dave, and Dave said that like he doesn't really expand on anything that George created. Like the stuff that George did, he doesn't touch that specific stuff. And he takes stuff after that or in between that and he'll expand. And that's cool. There's going to be an update to the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run at Disney at Galaxy's Edge. It's going to be a Mandalorian and Grogu themed update. Will allow you to take care of Grogu. So T, you can go in there and you can save Grogu and help him through the Smuggler's Run ride.
Can you not save Grogu? That's the real question.
Well, when my son and I did it, we really didn't do anything but blow the ship, but hit everything when we drove the ship. So
that sounds right.
What else did we have? They had the Andor panel, the Shadow Lord announced, Visions is getting a Volume 3 release.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a new update for Star Wars Outlaws, the video game.
Oh, and Zero Company, right?
Yeah.
Zero something.
Yeah. T will not save Grogu from anything.
Yeah, the video game stuff's tough because it's all like, hey, in another like year or two, there's going to be some video games that'll get pushed back. Okay.
I didn't play Outlaws. Like I started to, and I was just like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
I'll go back.
Yeah.
There's another Jedi Survivor coming out. It's the third and final one of that trilogy.
Someday.
Star Wars and The Mandalorian will invade Monopoly Go. It's time for you to pick the game back up, Jack.
Not doing it.
No.
Nope.
I keep stealing money from you every so often.
Go away. I deleted that game like
I know. It's a good time sink while I'm at work, and it's just, tap, 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 tap.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So Wheel of Time. And then we'll get to, because I need to hear your thoughts on this Wheel of Time finale.
Okay. As a reader of the books, I've really struggled talking about it with you so as to not give away future plot points.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to temper what I say so that I don't say something that they didn't do that they end up doing down the line and ruining a spot for you.
Yeah, but I read a lot of the articles, so like
I'm going to tell you now.
Anyway.
I'm going to tell you now that the death of Swan Sanche is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
Because she has an entire arc with Leanne that goes through 2-3 books.
Yeah.
They get stilled, they go traveling. There's a whole thing that goes on until eventually the stillness is healed, which has never been done before.
Wasn't, what's her name, unstilled already?
No. Moraine was shielded by a man. She didn't know that because women can't see the weaves that men do, and men can't see the weaves that women do. That's how that power works. So she gets healed by someone in the show. I'm not going to say because they're probably going to use that at some point down the line. It was a really great show. It was a great finale overall.
Yeah.
The Matt thing doesn't happen where that happens. The Matt thing actually happens in Ruidian. Exactly like that.
Okay.
Them bringing that character to life that was in there was great. That was awesome. The way Matt was hanging, what Matt was hanging from was his staff that he gets.
Yeah.
Which is a badass staff. The medallion that he gets, if you don't know, is it's a fox head medallion, and it allows, if someone were to cast the power at him, it just dissipates.
Right.
He's immune from the power while he's wearing the necklace.
I'm glad we have this actor as Matt versus the first one too,
He's
because I think
great.
this one's a much better actor.
So much better. I liked overall what they did. The thing that Nynaeve doesn't happen until much later in the series.
Yeah.
I understand now why he's doing what he's doing. I did watch the after thing and listen to him. I understand a lot of what he's doing because he doesn't know how long he has to tell the story.
I think that's part of it. The other one that stuck with me is saying, to go what happened with Game of Thrones, right? Like, and these 16 book series, right? At the end of 16 books, you have dozens and dozens of characters that you followed in all of these journeys. In TV, you don't have all those contracts. Like,
no,
you can't
but
carry all those people. So like you have to condense and rework storylines for like the number of actors that you can fit on the screen in a given season.
So really fast, the 6 characters that have died so far. Swan doesn't die until the last battle in the books.
Right.
Okay. Loyal doesn't die at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Ivan dies, but later.
Yeah.
He was one of the warders. Samuel doesn't die there and isn't even the character that they used to train Rand. That's something completely different. Okay. That's a whole different Forsaken. He doesn't die until the Crown of Swords book. Way down.
Yeah.
Eamon Valda doesn't die there. He dies in a book called Knife of Dreams. Natty Coffin, the mother of the two, she doesn't die at all. So again, I get the contract thing, and I get they're not even sure they're having a season 4 yet. So I get them running along and doing a lot of stuff now that they might not be able to do down the road if he can't finish this story.
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to get to season 4
I
based on
think.
how the feedback from like they want like 10 seasons.
Well, he needs
Yeah.
at least 10 to tell the story right.
Yeah.
There's so much more stuff that hasn't happened that they're kind of trying to set up.
Right.
The loyal thing I don't get, because he's the one writing the Wheel of Time books.
Right.
And like, you know what I mean? Like,
We'll
everything that
we'll
you're
see what happens
reading,
with that character.
I think he comes back.
There's a reason it was all off screen, and I'm sure.
Yeah. But for me, I thought it was a great finale. I really did. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the visuals from season 1 to season 3 are night and day better.
Yeah.
How did you, who
I
didn't read
had
the
a blast.
books?
I loved this season of the show from start to finish. I thought everything about this season was great. The fact that they let the guy playing Rand finally like get to act this year has been
Yeah.
great, because he did a little bit last year, like nothing in the first season.
No. No.
And a little bit last year, but most of it was just whiny brat stuff.
Yep.
This season I thought he was amazing, and they let Moraine. They turned her from being into a more compassionate, compelling character. I thought in the scenes that she got this year.
It happens over time in the books, and in the books, Rand and Matt go on this villages long journey, and he is very whiny. And I'm really glad that they didn't decide to take that, because that really would have taken a lot of people out of the story.
Yeah.
There is a lot that they've cut out that ends up working in their favor. I love the fact that Tom Maryland's back, and I really, 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 really hope that they dig more into his relationship with Elaine.
Yeah, I think we do. And some of the revelations there are like, hey, so there's a Forsaken hanging out in your court. Like,
Yes.
hey, he doesn't exist. What do you mean?
Right.
Oh.
That's
I am stoked for next season. I hope they get picked up fast. Amazon's usually pretty good with not hanging on that stuff for more than like a week or two after a season ends.
well, no, because then all the characters are going to get old too.
Well, right, like lots of things, right? Like all of there's all of those things, but like also, I just don't want to wait 2 years between seasons.
Me either.
This was season 3, right? The show started in 2020, so
Yeah.
like it's taken us 5 years to get 3 seasons of the show. So if they do 10 seasons, dear God,
Yeah.
it'll be 20 years before we get to the end.
Right.
Rand will be in his 50s. So yeah, so I thought it was great. I can't recommend that show enough. I think it's doing so many of the right things, and it is definite proof of like, hey, stick with it, and it'll pay off. Because even you that were like hate watching it with me,
At first I was, yes.
yeah, and then I was like, but I think it's good.
It is. It really. It is good. And like I said before, I
don't
I
think
try
anything's
to
good.
I try to watch it and separate myself from what I know in the books. What I know in the books, I'm seeing scenes from the books come to life that are enhancing what I read in the books, and it's like, oh, that's awesome. Like,
Right.
that's cool. When she got her powers in the water, like when she broke the block
Yeah.
and that was awesome to see.
Oh yeah,
Didn't happen that way in the books, but still it was great. Yeah. Now,
all right, so go watch Wheel of Time, and then there was episode 2.
not a finale.
No, but we want to hit this so we can
Yes.
get to Raw for you.
Yes.
Not
That's
us.
fine. That's
so Frank
fine.
can get to Raw.
Netflix allows me to start it a little late.
Good. All right, so Last of Us season 2, episode 2. Weren't sure. Full spoilers, by the way. If you haven't
Yeah.
watched it, go watch it. If you've been on the internet today, you already know what happened. Or if you ever played the game, which Frank is not, but I'm
Mm-mm.
sure he heard all the things that are going to happen because you haven't been able to avoid it for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So we start off. We have a flashback to Abby in the hospital, showing that talking to herself, to her younger self, to not go look and see what happened. And we get some backstory there. They're in the chalet. Bunch of ex-Marvel actors. Because I forgot the one girl was in Runaways too. So like,
I did not realize that hospital that she was in was where Joel did what he did.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't connect that. Again, I wasn't fully awake this morning.
So in the game, you don't find out Abby's motivation till like halfway through the game.
Right. I've been reading a lot of that online. I'm
Um,
never gonna play the game, so
no,
I
look, the game's. I actually started replaying it.
nice.
Too. It's a lot, but like the first like before you get to where they're at in the show, this is like 10 hours of gameplay.
Yeah, that's what
Instead of all the freaking cutscenes and all like but it's like not 10. It's probably like 5 hours of gameplay, but
a
still.
lot of people weren't sure they were gonna do this episode this early.
No, and I talked about that last week, right? I was like two or
Yeah.
three the way they're running through it. Um, so again, so we get Abby going out to look for the hour, right? Like it feels very video gamey, right? Like, hey, here's your side mission, and
Yeah,
they keep doing those things in here, right? Which is cool.
that's cool.
Um, we touch on there's an 8 a.m. patrol for Ellie. Jesse goes to wake her up, makes it awkward, which is straight out of the game.
Okay.
Where he's talking about the kiss with Dina and whatever, and Ellie, wants to go with Joel and sets up, but it's us and it's me and Joel and it's still us. Yada yada
I still didn't see it coming.
yada.
Not this soon.
But then but Joel already left with Dina, so we set that up, which again is right from the game, right?
Yep.
I don't love the portrayal of Ellie.
Okay.
That she has like just like 19-year-old 10 acting like a 10-year-old brat all the time is exhausting.
Okay.
So and then they go into the town hall and we get the setup for, hey, what happens when you hear a bell ring? An angel doesn't get his wings. You run to roofs and go into basements, right? So we get that set up. And you hear yelling, you do this, and I wonder if that's going to come into play. I didn't expect that to come into play the way that it did so fast this season. But anyway, Maria, everybody's favorite Tara from True Blood, makes Seth apologize to Ellie, and then Ellie's still just awful to him. She's awful to everybody, and just miserable. But I would think with the 5-year time jump, she should be past that like
You would
teen
think.
angsty bratty stuff, but I guess not. So then we cut back to the chalet for a few minutes. They're talking about, well, what are we going to do with, and he's like, we're going to talk Abby into going back and leaving because none of her crew wants to be there or doing this anymore. None of them are wearing the right clothes to be in Colorado.
Aren't they in Wyoming?
Or Wyoming, wherever they're at.
Yeah.
Montana, I don't know, whatever. To be where they're at. None of Jackson Hole, right?
Yep.
None of them are wearing the right clothes to be out in this weather, which comes into play again later on in the show, which makes zero sense, but fine. And I'm just noticing how old Gabriel Luna got as I'm watching this from Ghost Rider not that long ago.
Right.
He's aged like 1,000 years.
He is. Yeah.
So the weather's so bad out that nobody can survive unless you're a hot 24-year-old from, the Marvel callback studio. So we get the town calls all the patrols back for that. Jesse and Ellie go hide in the garage. This is another thing from the game with Eugene, who we get the shrink's husband, right? That Joel killed, and we kind of get a little bit of that backstory as to he must have gotten bit or infected or something, and Joel had to put him down.
Right.
What it seems like. But I remember that scene from the game, that this is all stuff straight from the game where Ellie's out on patrol, doing the side missions and stuff. Because you cut back and forth through this part of the game with Abby, who you don't know who she is.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
And Ellie and Jesse's running around. So then Abby sees them on patrol. And then you get like the perfect video game cut where like the mountain gives way and she's sliding just like you would, your controller shaking, right? As you're sliding down the
That was
mountain.
pretty cool.
And they mentioned before that there was that big graveyard of infected that has
Yep.
apparently thousands of infecteds underneath.
Yeah.
That were just
Like
hanging
playing possum?
out, I guess, because they're smart. I don't know. That was weird. And then she gets to some old compound, which you get great visuals from a video game standpoint, right? Like, oh my God, the fence is cutting and now I have to go crawl through.
Yeah, that was
this, right.
They've done that awesome. I've got that video game feel from it, even though I haven't played it.
No, but it totally has that vibe, right? Oh, it's getting smaller. Am I going to get through? And then cutscene. Oh, Joel comes and saves her, right?
Yep.
And she says, "Oh, you should go to the lodge because I just heard you call Joel." So we get that. And then the city finds out the pipe's infected, and the second they see that the pipe's infected, they know they're going to get attacked.
See, T said they were keeping each other warm under the snow.
Yeah. That okay. I mean, the 10 billion of them that I guess they didn't notice before it snowed.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe they have an intricate system of tunnels that they built underneath the snow to get around.
Weird. I try not to look into it.
I know it's a video game show. It's about zombies. I get it. Or cordyceps, whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then Ellie and Jesse find out that Joel and Dina are missing now and didn't call back in, so they have to go find them. And then as Joel and Dina are running away, the 1,000 affected because the pipe was busted open. So now the pipe saw people.
Yeah.
Because that's how they're doing this. This is different than the games, the way they deal with the fungus being like a neural network kind of thing.
I gather that. Yeah.
Is called all of the zombies to Jackson Hole. So they do their basement plans. Like with the number of ones that ran, I was like, "There's no way." They're just going to massacre the whole town and change the whole storyline. Is what's going to happen here. There's no way these guys survive this. But so then you get the attack, right? Which was super cool. They build the ramps to throw gasoline cans off.
Yeah, that was badass.
And onto them, and then they shoot them, and then they blow them up. Seemed problematic when the walls around Jackson are all made of wood.
Well, that was my big thought was you're and I get it that they shot the gasoline out a little bit, but like at the same time, I'm like, wait, but they're wood walls, and are you not? Wait, hold on.
Yeah, I was like, this seems problematic. But I guess no, don't overthink it. Got it. No. So they could kill like 1,000 of them, but one bloater too much for them to handle. And just walks through everybody and breaks down the wall, which, okay.
Well, it was right out of hell. I was the guy from Helm's Deep.
Yes. And then Tommy gets him to chase him so he can save his wife from getting attacked up on the roof. She follows him down to release these crazy super dogs.
Hell yeah. Get him, puppy.
So I was like, I guess they trained him to dislike the court. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All the roofs get overrun. The town's basically overrun at this point, except for, Tommy has his flamethrower that can take out the bloater just in time. Cool.
Video games, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's cool. Then we cut back to the lodge. They get into the lodge. Her crew comes out, finds them. They get back inside. Dina notices some things. Notices there's the WLF logo on one of the backpacks. All of this is straight out of the game where we're at right here, like shot for shot from where the game is. With like Dina gets knocked out because they don't want to hurt her. The rest of the crew, she shoots Joel in the knee.
In the game too.
Yep. Because she wants it to be slow. So how can you make him not get away? Right.
Right.
The game is much more brutal in this scene. This scene was actually pretty tame.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Compared to what the game does to Joel during this point and what you watch, this is incredibly tame.
So it's a cutscene in the game.
Yes.
Okay.
But you're Ellie in the game at this point.
Right. Okay.
So same kind of thing, right? Like she's going through the house. You're working your way through the house.
Right. While it's happening.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right. It was Tommy with Joel. That's right. It's been a few years. I like this mix better because they needed Tommy to be at the town.
Yeah.
The town thing didn't happen in the game.
Gotcha. Okay.
But the way the cuts are working is pretty straight out of the game with the golf club, right? That's right out of the game. But the game is much more brutal with the golf club. Like Joel's face is like in pieces.
So he's not surviving this, right?
No.
Joel's dead.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people turned off from the show that haven't played the game, and some that even played the game that I've seen comments that they won't watch the rest of the season now because this happened so early.
But it happens this early in the game. Like that was the big, right? This is like at the same point in the game, we were like, oh, this was just the prelude to the game didn't start yet.
I thought this was something that they would have saved for a finale, that you would go through the whole show with him. And then in the end, this would happen.
Well,
I personally think it's better to get it now done out of the way, because now you have the rest of the season where Ellie's on this revenge tour, right? Like,
well, this season is the Abby and Ellie show. It's not the
okay,
Ellie and Joel show.
right. We got that
The
the first
second game is as much Abby's game as anything.
and we're going to have a lot of flashbacks with him too, because apparently
100%.
he's in the show he's in the series, he's in the rest of this season at least.
Yeah, there are going to be a ton of flashbacks because you need to find out. They have to bridge that gap of the 5 years.
Yep.
Which do I think they need to do with like 20 different flashbacks? No.
And you have to see what happened with the chick's husband.
Yeah,
I think earlier.
I'm good with the explanation they already gave for it, but so this is one of the spots where it is a little weird with Caitlin Dever as the character,
Mhm.
where she's so tiny. So like watching her punch Joel in the face, I'm like, I don't think that hurts him.
Yeah, that was another thing that I was reading from different sites and different comments, is that she's a great actress, but she's not buff, and Abby was buff, and she, her punches don't hurt.
Abby in the game is she's described as like an ox. Like that's how people describe her, like big like an ox. Like she's massive. So she doesn't need to be, just you have to then do the things a little differently. Like
Right.
the one in the game, you get how she would intimidate all of these people to want to work with her.
Right. And
I don't get why these four are doing it for her.
Yeah.
Because they don't even seem to really like her. So like I don't get why they have her back.
They're all taller than her.
Yeah. And one of them's Falcon. I mean, and one of them has a pet dinosaur. So, and the other one is voiced something in a video game. Like, I forget. Yeah, agreed, T. Like, it's not about being buff. She's just so tiny, right? But it's not the buff piece. It's like the size, right? Like I said, the Abby in the game is a massive human being. That point comes in repeatedly throughout the game. Like, it's commented on by like everybody she meets. So just weird that they cast it this way. Like, I mean, in the game, she's built like Gina Carano.
Okay.
Let's put like, imagine this being
right.
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 So yeah, and here's where I mentioned earlier about the right, like, so the storm that was going to kill everybody is still going on outside. And Abby and crew in like their jeans and shorts, or shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah.
Leave the lodge and get far enough away that they're like miles away before Jesse manages to find the lodge. Sure. And Jackson Hole survives. Great, including Tommy and Maria. And then they drag Joel's body back, but leave the other two horses. Because Abby's crew didn't take two horses.
I don't know. They didn't show it.
No, but they showed Jesse with Ellie on his, or Dina on his horse, and Ellie riding, or whichever.
Right.
They have two horses, but they went with four. They're only taking two back. Weird. Not a huge plot point, right? But like the little stuff like that I'm like, hey, but what about? Because I feel like you're going to need all the help you can get at Jackson. So yeah, so that's where we ended up.
Now, I did not watch any after like interviews or anything like that. I was
they were fine.
I had a lot more wrestling stuff to get to this morning. Lots of interviews and lots of different appearances.
Yeah, the after stuff, was a lot. They talked about the big battle at Jackson, which again, like, not in the game.
Right.
So I thought that was
cool.
It was cool. It was a cool battle, right? I get that and I guess if I didn't know what was going on, I was watching like a regular viewer, I would have felt a lot more angst and struggle from that, and like felt the conflict. But like knowing like what was gonna like that's what I mean. Like knowing what was gonna happen, like, oh well, Joel's gonna we're already here. Cool.
Seeing Joel die and them, and again, I know he dies in the game, but I didn't know if his wife died or even if he died. I didn't know if they died. I didn't know if any other major characters at that point, huh?
You mean Tommy?
Right. I didn't know if Tommy or his wife were going to die. I mean, I expected at least Tommy to survive, because I think in the game, Tommy's the one that goes on the revenge, like, kick, right?
No, sort of.
Okay. But I expect at least one of them to, one of the husband and wife, Tommy or his wife, to survive. I didn't expect both of them to survive at that moment. I enjoyed the episode. Again, as someone that didn't play the game, I thought the episode was great.
Yeah, look, it was well done. Like I said, I didn't get the and knowing the story, right?
Right.
Which is why, like T just said, right? Like he said, he didn't feel anything with that death.
If it,
Like same thing for me. Like I knew it was coming, so I'm just like, all right, let's move on. Let's see how you're going to take this Ellie and Abby. And I don't love either one of those actresses in the roles.
I
So
was
that
going to say, does T like Pablo? I don't remember if T likes Pablo as much as you like Pablo.
Pedro,
Pedro, the same guy.
um,
But I didn't feel. I didn't have an attachment to. I think I had more of an attachment to Joel in the first season
yeah,
than I did to this second episode in this season. I didn't really feel that. Like when he died, it was like, wow, that sucks. But I like seeing major characters killed off and stuff.
yeah. Look,
But I
all of
didn't have that attachment to him where it was like, oh man, I'm gonna go feel emotional now. I got more emotional when Michael Scott left the office.
I can't wait. Um, so yeah, so no crazy thoughts on Last of Us. But
Yeah,
it was a solid episode, right? Let's see where this season goes. Let's see how long they drag out Jackson next week before we move on,
right.
and how much we cut back and forth between Abby and Ellie, because I think that's going to be the interesting part now. Like what I would hope would happen, which I doubt will, is I want to not see Abby for like 2 episodes,
Right.
and I want there to be a mystery to it,
Yeah.
right?
Where did she go? What's she
I
doing
don't know
now?
if they'll do that, as I feel like they're going to keep trying to make us invest in Abby as a character.
Yeah, we'll see.
But I would like it to be like, no, because I feel like in the game, like you get rid of Abby for like a solid chuck like 20% of the game at this point, before you cut back and see, and then you play back through the other piece. Um,
Yeah, she said that too. That Pete said the voice actor for Abby in the video game got death threats after doing the video
yeah,
game.
yeah.
um
Look, I'm not a fan of Bella as Ellie at all. But I don't think Caitlin Deaver could play as young as she needed to for Ellie. I don't think Bella plays as old as Ellie's supposed to be now either. So
right.
I don't know, whatever. Um, so we will next week we will hit up all the
Oh
Andor,
boy.
all of the Doctor Who. Frank will be caught up.
Yeah, there's a
Be
lot to watch
three
this week.
episodes in.
It's 2 shows to watch, but it's a lot of hours.
It is. We'll have another Last of Us. Most of the other stuff's all done. I agreed, Teed. With he loved Abby in the game, became his favorite character. Mine too. I'm more excited for her sequel than Ellie's. But look, it's a different. You get perspectives change as the game plays through.
Right.
So I'm intrigued to see that roll out, and I guess they're going to take it over the next 2 seasons of this show. So
Yeah, I heard this game's going to play out over the next 2 seasons.
yeah. So we'll no Tom Baker.
That's my Doctor 2, Pete.
Shooty That's a good Cyberman though. In your comment. So we will see you all next week. You can check me out at Jack Kid Music. Check out Frank and our boy T.
This Wednesday night,
Where can they find that?
The Island of Relevancy, the
On the
podcast.
YouTube. Right? On
On
YouTube.
YouTube. Yes.
There we go. And like it said, you can check me out, jackkidmusic.com. This weekend I'll be in Doylestown and making a debut at the East End Pub in Hatfield. So check that out, and we will catch you all next time. Thanks for finding the Geek Spot with us.